Clean it up or get out. The words landed before anyone understood why the room had gone silent. A baby started crying. Sharp. Sudden. The sound cut through clinking glasses and low chatter like something breaking. Alicia Brooks stood frozen near the counter, one hand holding her son, the other gripping a paper bag already damp at the bottom. Milk dripped onto the tile. Slow. Sticky. No one moved to help. The manager stepped closer, his shoes stopping just inches from the spill. His voice dropped, colder now. You people always make a mess. A fork slipped from someone's hand across the room. No one picked it up. Alicia adjusted Noah against her shoulder. His small fingers curled into her collar, trembling. She didn't argue. She didn't raise her voice. She just shifted her weight and tried to steady the bottle that had tilted too far. It was empty now. Completely empty. Something about that felt worse. The overhead lights buzzed faintly, too bright against the polished floor. A waitress behind the register hesitated. She took half a step forward. Then stopped. The manager noticed. His eyes flicked toward her. She looked down immediately. Alicia swallowed, her throat dry. I'll clean it, she said quietly. Her voice barely carried. But it did. Enough for a few heads to turn. Enough for the silence to deepen. Noah's crying softened into uneven breaths. He pressed his face into her neck. Warm. Fragile. Alicia closed her eyes for half a second. Just half. Then opened them again. The manager exhaled sharply, like he'd been inconvenienced. You should have thought about that before coming in here. A man near the window shifted in his seat. He looked like he wanted to say something. He didn't. The smell of fried food lingered in the air, mixed now with something sour. Milk and embarrassment. Alicia bent slightly, trying to keep Noah calm while reaching for a napkin on the counter. It slipped from her fingers. Fell to the floor. No one picked that up either. The room felt smaller. Tighter. Like the walls had leaned in just enough to watch. A teenage boy near the door whispered to his friend. Too low to hear. But the tone carried. Uneasy. Alicia finally got the napkin. She wiped once. Then again. The stain spread wider before it faded. That didn't make sense. The manager shook his head slowly, almost amused. This is exactly why we have standards. Standards. The word hung there. Heavy. Wrong. Noah let out a soft whimper. Not loud this time. Just enough to be noticed. Alicia leaned her cheek against his head. It's okay, she whispered. Her hand moved gently along his back. Slow. Steady. She didn't look at anyone else. Not even the manager. Not even when his shadow shifted closer. The waitress behind the counter clenched her jaw. Her hands tightened around a tray. She didn't move. Something in her eyes flickered. Fear, maybe. Or something else. Near the far corner, an older woman sat alone by the window. She hadn't touched her food. Her hands rested calmly on the table. But her eyes were fixed on Alicia. Unblinking. Observing every detail. The milk. The baby. The silence. Alicia finished wiping the floor. It wasn't perfect. But it was clean enough. She stood slowly, adjusting Noah again, feeling his breathing settle just a little. She reached for the crumpled bag. We'll go, she said. No anger. No accusation. Just quiet. The kind that didn't ask permission. The manager didn't respond right away. He just stared at her. Then glanced toward the door. As if waiting. As if expecting something else to happen. And that's when the woman by the window pushed her chair back. The chair legs scraped softly against the floor, but the sound carried farther than it should have. Not loud, not sharp, just enough to shift every eye in the room. The woman by the window stood slowly, one hand resting on the edge of the table as if she had all the time in the world. She did not look at the manager first. She looked at Alicia. Then at the baby. Then at the small damp spot still glistening under the lights. Something about her calm felt out of place. The manager noticed her too. His posture straightened, just slightly. "Ma'am, is there a problem?" he asked, voice suddenly measured. The woman did not answer right away. She stepped forward, her shoes making almost no sound on the tile. One step. Then another. The room stayed quiet. Even the kitchen. Noise seemed to fade behind the swinging doors. Alicia shifted Noah higher on her shoulder. His breathing had steadied, but his grip tightened again as the woman came closer. He could feel something. Even if he did not understand it. The woman stopped a few feet away. Close enough to see the tear still clinging to Alicia's lower lashes. It had not fallen yet. That felt important. "Did you just ask her to leave?" the woman said. Her voice was calm. Almost soft. But it did not bend. The manager gave a short nod. "She caused a disturbance." His words came out quickly this time. Too quickly. The woman glanced down at the floor. The milk stain was nearly gone now. Just a faint outline under the light. "That is your disturbance?" she asked. A pause followed. Not long. Just enough to make the question feel heavier. The waitress behind the counter looked up again. This time, she did not look away immediately. Something in her eyes shifted. Alicia opened her mouth, then stopped. She was not sure why. Maybe because the woman had not looked at her like everyone else had. Not with pity. Not with irritation. Just attention. The manager cleared his throat. "We have standards here," he repeated. The same word. But it sounded weaker now. The woman tilted her head slightly, as if considering that. "Standards," she echoed. Her gaze moved across the room. Table by table. Face by face. No one spoke. A man near the window lowered his eyes. The teenage boy near the door stopped whispering. Even the waitress stood still, tray forgotten in her hands. The woman took another step forward. "And your standard is to send a mother out because her child needed to be fed?" she asked. The manager's jaw tightened. "That is not what happened." But he did not explain further. That hesitation lingered. Alicia felt it. So did everyone else. Noah shifted again, letting out a small sound, not quite a cry. Alicia instinctively swayed, slow and steady. The motion seemed to settle the space around her. The woman noticed that too. Her eyes softened for just a second. Then sharpened again. "What is your name?" she asked the manager. The question came out simple. Direct. The manager hesitated. "Just for a beat." "Derek," he said. He did not offer more. The woman nodded once. As if that confirmed something. "Derek," she repeated. Then she looked past him. Toward the counter. Toward the staff. "And none of you thought to help?" The words were not loud. But they landed harder than anything before. The waitress swallowed. Her fingers tightened around the tray. She took a step forward this time. A real step. "I was going to," she said quietly. Derek turned his head sharply toward her. The look he gave her was quick. Sharp. Enough to make her stop again. But the moment had already shifted. The woman saw it. She saw everything. Alicia lowered her eyes, unsure where to stand, unsure what this was becoming. She had only wanted to leave. Quietly. Without making things worse. But now nothing felt quiet anymore. The air had changed. It felt heavier. Like something unseen had stepped into the room. The woman finally looked at Alicia again. Directly this time. You said you were leaving, she said gently. Alicia nodded once. Yes, ma'am. Her voice was steady, but softer now. The woman studied her for a moment longer. Then glanced back at Derek. No, she said. One word. Clear. Firm. Derek blinked. Excuse me. The woman did not raise her voice. She did not need to. She is not leaving, she said. A longer silence followed this time. The kind that stretched. The kind that made people shift in their seats without realizing it. Derek let out a small breath, almost a laugh. I think that decision is mine. He sounded confident again. But something underneath it cracked just a little. The woman's expression did not change. Not even slightly. She reached into her coat pocket slowly. No rush. No tension. Just a deliberate motion that drew every eye back to her hand. And that was when the first hint of something larger settled over the room. The room seemed to hold its breath as her hand disappeared into her coat pocket. No one spoke. No one even shifted. The sound of Noah's soft breathing filled the space more than anything else. Derek watched her closely now. Not dismissive anymore. Careful. That was new. The woman pulled out a small, dark leather card holder. Worn at the edges. Simple. Not flashy. That felt wrong somehow. She opened it slowly. The motion was unhurried, almost quiet, but every eye followed it. A faint click as it snapped open. The sound echoed more than it should have. The waitress leaned forward just a little, her tray lowering without her noticing. Alicia stood still, her arms tightening slightly around Noah. She did not understand what was happening. But she felt it shifting. Something was about to change. The woman slid a card out halfway. Then stopped. She did not hand it over yet. Instead, she looked at Derek again. You are certain this is how you want to handle this? She asked. Her voice stayed calm. Even. But there was weight behind it now. Derek let out a small breath through his nose. Ma'am, I am just doing my job. He said it firmly. But his eyes flicked to the card. Just for a second. That second did not go unnoticed. The woman tilted her head slightly. Your job, she repeated. Then she glanced around again. Taking in the silent customers. The frozen staff. The untouched plates. Is this what your job looks like? No one answered. Not even Derek. The air felt tighter now. Thicker. Like something unseen had moved closer. The woman finally pulled the card free. Held it between two fingers. Still not offering it. Just holding it where Derek could see. He hesitated. That hesitation stretched. Then he reached out. Slowly. Like he was not sure he should. His fingers hovered for a brief moment before taking the card. He glanced down. And then everything about his posture changed. It was subtle. A slight shift in his shoulders. A pause in his breathing. But it was there. Clear as light. The waitress saw it. So did the man by the window. Alicia did not see the card. But she saw Derek's face. That was enough. His confidence did not disappear. It cracked. Just a little. He looked back up at the woman. Then down again. As if the words might change if he checked twice. They did not. His throat moved as he swallowed. I did not realize, he began. The sentence did not finish. The woman did not respond. She just waited. That silence felt heavier than any answer. Derek straightened quickly. Too quickly. If there has been a misunderstanding, we can resolve it, he added. His tone shifted. Polite now. Careful. Almost rehearsed. The difference was impossible to ignore. The waitress blinked. Once. Then again. She looked at Alicia. Then back at Derek. Something in her expression hardened. Alicia adjusted Noah again. His small hand rested against her collarbone now. Calm. Still. She could feel his heartbeat. Steady. That steadiness grounded her. Even as the room changed around her. The woman finally spoke again. There was no misunderstanding, she said. Simple. Direct. Derek opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. Nothing came out. The woman stepped closer. Just one step. But it closed the distance completely. You saw a mother. You saw a child. And you decided they did not belong here. Each word landed clean. No anger. Just truth. Derek shook his head slightly. That is not what I meant. But the words sounded thin. Like they had no place to stand. The woman did not argue. She did not raise her voice. She just held his gaze. And that was enough. Around them, the room began to shift. Small movements. A chair creaking. Someone exhaling. The silence breaking, piece by piece. The waitress set her tray down quietly. Finally. She stepped out from behind the counter. No one stopped her this time. Alicia noticed. It felt small. But it mattered. The woman turned her head slightly. Not fully. Just enough to acknowledge the movement. Then she looked back at Derek. Tell me, she said, who trained you? The question came out soft. But it carried something deeper. Derek blinked. Confused now. Off balance. I was hired 3 years ago, he said. The answer did not match the question. The woman nodded once. As if that confirmed something else entirely. 3 years, she repeated. A faint pause followed. Then her eyes moved past him. Toward the office door behind the counter. Closed. Quiet. Untouched. Interesting, she said. The word lingered in the air. Not loud. Not sharp. But full of meaning no one fully understood yet. And that was when the door behind Derek slowly unlocked. The soft click of the lock carried farther than it should have. It was not loud, but it cut through the room like a signal. Every head turned toward the office door behind the counter. Derek turned last. Slower than the others. Like he already knew he would not like what came next. The handle moved. Just slightly. Then the door opened a few inches. No one came out at first. That pause stretched. The kind that made the air feel heavier. The waitress who had stepped forward stopped mid-step. Her eyes fixed on the gap in the door. Alicia felt it too. A shift. Subtle, but undeniable. Noah stirred again, his fingers pressing softly against her collarbone. She adjusted him gently. The motion grounded her. The door opened wider. A man stepped out. Mid-50s, maybe older. Crisp shirt, sleeves rolled once. Not rushed. Not surprised. Just present. He looked at Derek first. Not at the woman. That felt deliberate. Derek's shoulders tightened. Sir, he said quickly. Too quickly. The word came out like a reflex. The man did not respond immediately. His eyes moved across the room. Slow. Careful. He took in the overturned napkin. The faint milk stain. Alicia holding her child. The woman standing still. Watching everything. The silence settled deeper. "What is going on out here?" the man asked. His voice was calm. Even. But it carried authority without effort. Derek stepped forward half a step. Then stopped. "It is under control," he said. The answer came fast. "Practiced." The man did not nod. Did not agree. He just looked at him. That look lasted a second too long. Enough to make Derek shift his weight. The woman did not move. She remained exactly where she was. One hand resting lightly at her side. The other relaxed. Waiting. The man's eyes finally moved to her. Something flickered there. Recognition, maybe. Or something close to it. But it passed quickly. He turned back to Derek. "Explain," he said. One word. No room to avoid it. Derek cleared his throat. There was a disruption. A customer spilled, he stopped. The sentence felt smaller as he said it. The man's gaze did not change. "A disruption," he repeated. Not questioning. Just repeating. That made it worse. The waitress stepped forward again. This time she did not stop. She was just feeding her baby, she said quietly. Her voice trembled, but she did not pull back. Derek turned sharply toward her. "That is not," he began. The man raised his hand slightly. Not high. Not forceful. Just enough. Derek stopped mid-sentence. The room felt still again. The man looked at the waitress. Then at Alicia. Then at the woman. The order mattered. He was putting something together. Piece by piece. Alicia met his eyes for the first time. Just briefly. Then looked down again. She was not asking for help. That was clear. She was just standing there. Holding her son. Waiting for it to be over. That felt heavier than anything else. The man noticed. His expression shifted. Slightly. Almost imperceptible. He turned back to Derek. "Did you ask her to leave?" he said. Derek hesitated. "Just a beat." "Yes," he said finally. The word sounded different now. Smaller. The man nodded once. Slowly. As if confirming something. "Why?" The question came soft. But it landed harder than before. Derek's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. No answer came immediately. That silence stretched. The woman watched him. Not interrupting. Not helping. Just observing. The waitress stood still beside the counter. Her hands no longer shaking. Something had changed in her too. Alicia shifted Noah again. He let out a soft breath. Calm. Unaware of the weight around him. The man's gaze stayed on Derek. Unmoving. Patient. That patience felt dangerous. "We have standards," Derek said finally. The same word again. But now it sounded hollow. The man's eyes narrowed just slightly. "Standards," he repeated. He let the word sit there. Then glanced at the woman again. This time longer. More carefully. Something clicked behind his eyes. Recognition, clearer now. But he did not say it. Not yet. He turned back to Derek. "And this meets them?" he asked. Derek did not answer. Not right away. The room waited. The kind of waiting that made every second feel longer than it was. The man took one step forward. Closing the distance. Not aggressive. Just certain. "Answer me," he said. Derek swallowed. His voice dropped. I thought it did. The admission hung there. Fragile. The woman's gaze sharpened. Just slightly. The man exhaled once. Slow. Controlled. Then he looked past Derek. Toward the office behind him. Toward the space where decisions were usually made. Then back at the room. At the people who had stayed silent. At the ones who had looked away. At the ones who had almost helped. Almost. His eyes lingered on Alicia again. Then on Noah. The baby's breathing steady. Peaceful now. That detail stayed with him. It showed. The room felt like it was holding something back. Something not yet spoken. The man's expression settled into something firm. Quiet. Final. He looked at Derek one more time. And then he said a name that made the air shift instantly. Evelyn Carter. The name left his mouth slowly, but it landed like something heavy hitting glass. No one reacted at first. Then the waitress blinked. Once. Twice. The man near the window straightened in his seat. Derek froze. Completely. His hand still held the card, but now it felt like it weighed too much. He looked down at it again. The letters had not changed. But they felt different now. Real. Too real. You are, he started, but the words tangled before they could form. The woman did not answer him. She did not need to. Her silence confirmed everything. The room shifted. Subtle at first. Then all at once. The air felt tighter. Heavier. Like everyone had just realized they had been standing in the wrong place. Derek took a small step back. Barely noticeable. But it broke something. The confidence he had been holding onto slipped just enough. I did not recognize you, he said quickly. The words rushed out now. Too fast. Too careful. Evelyn did not move. Her gaze stayed on him. Steady. Unreadable. That is not the problem, she said. Her voice remained calm. But it carried more weight than before. Derek swallowed. Hard. The waitress lowered her eyes again, but not out of fear this time. Something else had replaced it. Alicia stood still, her arms wrapped around Noah. She had not reacted to the name. Not fully. But she felt the shift. Everyone did. Noah shifted slightly, his small hand pressing against her shoulder. His breathing stayed calm. That calmness felt almost out of place now. The man who had stepped out of the office looked at Evelyn. Again. This time, there was no question in his eyes. Only recognition. He straightened slightly. Not out of fear. Out of respect. Ma'am, he said quietly. Just one word. It changed everything. Derek heard it. The waitress heard it. Even Alicia felt it. That word confirmed what the card had only suggested. Derek's grip on the card tightened. His knuckles paled slightly. I was following procedure, he said. The sentence sounded rehearsed again. But weaker. Less certain. Evelyn's gaze shifted briefly to the floor. To the faint outline of the milk stain. Then back to him. Procedure does not replace judgment, she said. Each word landed clean. No hesitation. Derek nodded quickly. Too quickly. Of course. I understand that now. But he did not look like he did. His eyes flicked toward the office. Then toward the staff. Then back to Evelyn. Searching for something. A way out. The waitress stepped forward again. Just one step. But she did not stop this time. She asked for warm water, she said quietly. Her voice was steadier now. For the baby. The word settled into the room. Simple. Clear. Hard to ignore. Evelyn turned her head slightly. Acknowledging her. Not fully. Just enough. And, she asked. The question was soft. But it carried expectation. The waitress hesitated. Just a second. Then spoke. We did not give it to her. The truth hung there. Uncovered. Unprotected. Derek exhaled sharply. That is not, he started again. But the man from the office stepped forward this time. Not fast. Not forceful. Just enough to stand beside Evelyn. Let her finish, he said quietly. Derek stopped. Again. Alicia lowered her eyes. Her fingers tightened slightly around Noah's back. She had not asked for this. She had not wanted this. She just wanted to leave. That thought lingered in her chest. Heavy. Evelyn noticed. She always noticed. Why did you stay? Evelyn asked suddenly. The question was directed at Alicia. Not Derek. Not the staff. Alicia blinked. Caught off guard. She looked up slowly. She began, then stopped. The answer did not come easily. The room waited. Again. He needed to eat, she said finally. Her voice was soft. But steady. She did not look at anyone else. Just at her son. That answer settled deeper than anything before. Evelyn's expression shifted. Slightly. Not softer. But clearer. As if something had just aligned. The man beside her nodded once. Almost imperceptible. Derek looked between them. Then back at Alicia. Something in his face changed. Not understanding. Not yet. But something closer to it. The waitress exhaled slowly. Like she had been holding that breath too long. The room no longer felt frozen. It felt exposed. Like everything hidden had been pulled into the light. Evelyn looked at Derek again. Fully this time. No distance left. You made a decision, she said. Now we are going to examine it. Derek opened his mouth. Closed it again. The card in his hand trembled slightly. He tried to steady it. Failed. And that was the moment he realized this was no longer his floor. The card trembled in Derek's hand, just enough for the edge to catch the light. It flickered once across his face. That was all it took. The room saw it. The shift was no longer subtle. It was visible now. Alicia felt it in the way the air settled differently against her skin. Noah's breathing stayed slow, steady, almost out of rhythm with everything else. Evelyn did not rush. She did not raise her voice. She simply watched. That was worse. Derek cleared his throat again, but the sound came out dry. There must be a way to correct this, he said. The sentence felt incomplete the moment it left him. Evelyn did not respond. Instead, she turned slightly toward Alicia. Not fully. Just enough to bring her into focus. What is your name? She asked. Alicia hesitated. Not out of fear. Out of uncertainty. This was not the direction she expected. Alicia, she said quietly. Her voice carried more than she thought it would. Evelyn nodded once. Alicia, she repeated. As if placing the name somewhere important. The man beside her shifted his stance slightly. His eyes moved from Derek to Alicia, then back again. He was tracking something. Connecting pieces. The waitress stood closer now. Not behind the counter anymore. Beside it. Her hands rested at her sides. No tray. No barrier. That mattered. Alicia adjusted Noah again. His head rested. Against her shoulder now, his small breaths warm against her neck. She could feel his weight. Grounding. Real. Evelyn's gaze dropped briefly to the baby. Then lifted again. "Did anyone offer you help?" she asked. The question was simple. Direct. Alicia paused. Her fingers tightened slightly around Noah's back. She could feel every eye in the room waiting. Not judging. Not this time. Just waiting. "No," she said. One word. Soft. But it landed. The waitress looked down. Just for a second. Then back up. She did not step back. That was new. Derek inhaled sharply. "That is not entirely accurate," he said. His voice tried to regain control. It did not. Evelyn turned her head toward him. Slowly. "Then clarify," she said. Derek opened his mouth. Closed it. His eyes moved across the room. Searching again. But this time there was nothing to hold on to. The silence did not support him. It pressed against him. The man beside Evelyn spoke for the first time since stepping forward. "We have cameras," he said quietly. Just a statement. No threat. But it changed everything. Derek's shoulders stiffened. The card in his hand lowered slightly. His grip loosened. The waitress exhaled. Long, slow. Alicia did not move. She stood still, holding her son, watching something unfold that she never intended to be part of. Evelyn nodded once. "Then we will review them," she said. Calm. Certain. No hesitation. Derek stepped back again. Another small step. But this one was clearer. More visible. The floor he stood on no longer felt stable. "That will not be necessary," he said quickly. The words rushed out. Evelyn did not react to the speed. "It is already necessary," she replied. Her tone did not change. That made it final. The man beside her turned slightly toward the office. His posture shifted into action. Not rushed. Just ready. The waitress took another step forward. Now she stood just a few feet from Alicia. Close enough to see the faint line where the milk had dried on her sleeve. "I am sorry," she said quietly. The words came out steady. No hesitation. Alicia looked at her. Really looked this time. There was no fear in the waitress's eyes now. Just something honest. Alicia nodded. Once. Not forgiving. Not dismissing. Just acknowledging. That felt enough for the moment. Noah stirred slightly, then settled again. His small hand relaxed against Alicia's shoulder. That small motion softened something in the room. Just a little. Evelyn noticed. She always noticed. She turned her attention back to Derek. "Tell me something," she said. If she had been dressed differently, would this have gone the same way? The question hung there. It did not accuse. It revealed. Derek did not answer. Not right away. His eyes dropped. Just for a second. That second spoke louder than any response. The room felt it. The man by the window leaned back slowly in his chair. The teenage boy near the door stopped watching his phone entirely. Even the kitchen door behind the counter stayed still. No movement. No noise. Everything had narrowed to this moment. Derek finally looked up. But his voice did not come. Not this time. Evelyn held his gaze. Unmoving. "That is what I thought," she said softly. The words did not carry anger. They carried certainty. The man beside her nodded once. Almost to himself. Alicia shifted her weight slightly. Her arms were starting to ache, but she did not loosen her hold. She could not. Not yet. The waitress glanced toward the counter. Then back at Alicia. A decision forming. Something small. But real. The room was no longer frozen. It was changing. Slowly. Piece by piece. And Derek could feel it slipping away. The silence did not break. It shifted. Subtle at first, like a room deciding which way to lean. Derek felt it before he understood it. The space around him no longer held him up. It pressed inward. The card in his hand slipped slightly against his fingers. He tightened his grip again. Too late. Everyone had already seen it. Alicia adjusted Noah once more. His weight had settled deeper into her arms. Heavy now. Real. Her shoulders ached, but she did not move to ease it. Not here. Not now. The waitress glanced toward the back counter. Then at Alicia. Then back again. A decision forming behind her eyes. Small, but growing. Evelyn remained still. Watching. Measuring. Not just Derek. Everyone. The room was part of this now. Not just one man. That realization settled quietly. Bring her a chair, Evelyn said. The words came without force. But they carried expectation. The waitress moved immediately this time. No hesitation. She stepped toward a nearby table, pulled a chair free, and brought it over. The legs scraped softly against the tile. That sound felt different now. Not disruptive. Necessary. Alicia blinked. Surprised. She had not expected to stay. Not even for a moment longer. You can sit, the waitress said gently. Her voice had changed. It no longer asked permission. It offered something real. Alicia hesitated. Just for a second. Then slowly lowered herself into the chair. Careful. Controlled. Noah stirred slightly, then settled again against her chest. The shift in height changed everything. The room adjusted with her. Evelyn nodded once. Not at Alicia. At the waitress. Recognition. Quiet, but clear. Derek watched it happen. Every small shift. Every decision that no longer involved him. His place in the room had moved. He could feel it. This is unnecessary, he said. The word sounded thin the moment they left him. No one responded. Not even the man beside Evelyn. That silence answered for them. The waitress stepped back slightly. But she did not return behind the counter. She stayed close. Within reach. That mattered. Alicia rested one hand against Noah's back. Slow. Steady. Her breathing matched his now. In and out. In and out. The rhythm softened something in the room. Just enough. Evelyn turned her head slightly. Toward the counter. Warm water, she said. 2 words. Clear. Direct. The waitress nodded and moved. Fast, but not rushed. Purposeful. She disappeared behind the counter and returned within seconds with a cup. Steam rising faintly. Real. Tangible. She handed it to Alicia carefully. Not too close. Not too far. Respecting the space. Alicia took it with one hand. Her fingers brushed the warmth. It grounded her. More than anything else had so far. Thank you, she said softly. The words carried differently now. Not quiet from fear. Quiet from something else. The waitress nodded. No words. Just acknowledgement. Derek shifted his weight again. The movement felt exposed. Like. Every step he took now was visible. Measured. Judged. He looked toward the man beside Evelyn. Searching. For support. For direction. For anything. The man did not meet his eyes. He was watching something else. Something larger. The system. The room. The pattern. Derek felt it slipping further. "We are addressing this," he said. His voice tried to reclaim control. It did not. Evelyn turned back to him. Slowly. "We are," she said. Calm. Final. The difference between their tones was clear. One was holding on. The other had already decided. Alicia lifted the cup slightly. Testing the temperature. Not too hot. Just right. She adjusted Noah again, guiding the bottle back into place. The baby responded immediately. A small sound. Then calm. The room heard it. That simple act shifted something deeper. The purpose of being there. The reason behind everything. It was no longer abstract. It was right there. In her arms. Evelyn watched closely. Not the action. The care. The patience. The instinct. It told her more than words could. The man beside her nodded once. Almost to himself. Derek saw it. That small nod. It unsettled him more than anything else. It meant a decision was forming. Not just hers. His future was no longer in his hands. The waitress stepped back again. But she stayed nearby. Watching. Ready. That readiness had not been there before. It was now. The room no longer felt like a place of service. It felt like a place of reckoning. Quiet. Controlled. Inevitable. Derek exhaled slowly. His shoulders dropped just slightly. The fight in him had not disappeared. But it had weakened. He could feel it. Everyone could. Evelyn finally shifted her stance. Just a fraction. Enough to signal movement. Not physical. Decisional. "Tell me," she said, her voice low and steady, "who else made this choice with you?" The question did not echo, but it settled into every corner of the room. Who else made this choice with you? No one moved at first. Not Derek. Not the staff. Even the air seemed to pause again. Derek blinked once, then again, like he needed a second to understand what had just been asked. His grip on the card loosened. It slipped slightly against his fingers. He did not pick it back up properly. That hesitation said more than anything else. His eyes moved toward the counter. Then toward the kitchen door. Then back to Evelyn. He was not alone in this. That much was clear. But saying it out loud felt heavier. The waitress felt it too. Her shoulders straightened slightly. She did not step back. That was new. The man by the window leaned forward just a fraction. Watching. Waiting. Alicia adjusted Noah gently. The bottle tilted just enough. A small swallow. Then another. The soft rhythm of feeding cut through the tension. Grounding. Real. Evelyn did not look away from Derek. Not even for a second. "Answer the question," she said. Her voice stayed calm. But it did not bend. Derek exhaled slowly. He glanced again toward the staff behind the counter. There were two others now, standing just inside the kitchen doorway. They had come closer without anyone noticing. Or maybe everyone had noticed but said nothing. That felt more accurate. "We all follow the same guidelines," Derek said finally. The words sounded careful. Too careful. Evelyn's expression did not change. "That was not my question," she replied. The correction was soft. But it cut clean. Derek swallowed. Hard. The room felt smaller again. The walls pressing in. "I made the call," he said. This time his voice dropped. Lower. Less certain. It was not the full truth. Everyone could feel that. The waitress looked at him. Really looked. Something in her face shifted again. Not fear. Not hesitation. Something closer to disappointment. She took a breath. "He told us not to serve her," she said quietly. The words landed. Simple. Direct. No hesitation this time. Derek turned toward her sharply. "That is not," he started. But stopped himself. Too late. The interruption only confirmed it. Evelyn turned her head slightly. Just enough to acknowledge the waitress. A small nod. Not approval. Recognition. The kind that mattered more. The man beside Evelyn crossed his arms slowly. Not defensive. Observing. Measuring. Derek looked between them again. The balance was gone. He could feel it. Every option shrinking. Alicia kept her eyes on Noah. She did not look up. She did not react to the words. But her hand moved gently along his back. Steady. Calm. She was not part of the argument. That was clear. She was the reason for it. That was clearer. The waitress stepped closer again. Just one step. She asked twice, she added. Her voice stayed low. But it did not shake. For warm water. The detail hung there. Small. But heavy. Evelyn's gaze returned to Derek. Twice, she repeated. Derek did not answer. His silence stretched. Longer this time. The kind that made everything else louder. A plate clinked softly in the kitchen. Someone shifted near the door. Even the hum of the lights felt sharper. The man beside Evelyn finally spoke. Did anyone refuse that instruction? He asked. His voice was quiet. But it carried authority. One of the staff near the kitchen door shifted uncomfortably. He did not step forward. But he did not hide either. That hesitation mattered. The waitress glanced back at them. Then forward again. She did not cover for them. Not anymore. No, she said. The word settled. Final. Evelyn exhaled slowly. Not frustration. Not anger. Something else. Understanding. The pattern was clear now. Not just one decision. A system. A silence. A habit. Derek felt it. The weight of it. We were maintaining order, he said. The explanation came out weaker than he expected. Even he heard it. Evelyn's gaze did not soften. Order, she repeated. The word lingered. Then faded. Like it did not belong there. Alicia adjusted Noah again. The bottle was nearly empty now. Just a few drops left. The small detail grounded the moment again. Reality breaking through the tension. The waitress noticed. She reached for another bottle behind the counter without being asked. She brought it forward. Set it gently within Alicia's reach. No words. Just action. Alicia glanced up briefly. Their eyes met. Just for a second. That second held more than anything spoken so far. Derek saw it. That connection. That quiet correction of everything he had allowed. His shoulders dropped slightly. The fight in him faded another inch. Evelyn stepped forward. Just one step. Enough to close the distance completely. This is not about one moment, she said. Her voice was steady. Clear. This is about what you thought was acceptable. Derek looked at her. Then at the floor. Then back again. He did not respond. He could not. The answer was already visible. The man beside Evelyn nodded once. The decision was no longer forming. It was there. Solid. Inevitable. The room felt it. Everyone did. And then Evelyn shifted her gaze past Derek, toward the rest of the staff, and asked the question none of them were ready for. The room did not feel like a restaurant anymore. It felt like something being uncovered. Evelyn's gaze moved past Derek, settling on the staff by the counter and near the kitchen door. No one spoke. No one stepped forward. But no one looked away either. That was new. When did this become normal, she asked. Her voice stayed low. Controlled. The question did not demand an answer. It demanded reflection. The staff shifted slightly. A young man near the kitchen door rubbed his hands together. Nervous. Unsure. The waitress remained still. She did not retreat this time. Alicia adjusted Noah again. The second bottle was in place now. His small mouth moved slowly. Calm. Unaware of the weight in the room. The simple act softened something again. Just enough. Evelyn noticed. Then looked back at the staff. Not helping, she continued, not speaking, not questioning. Each phrase landed separately. Clean. No overlap. When did that become acceptable? The silence deepened. The young man near the door took a step forward. Small. Careful. We follow what we are told, he said. His voice was quiet. But it held. Derek turned his head slightly toward him. Not sharply this time. Just enough to register the shift. That shift mattered. The man beside Evelyn watched closely. Tracking each movement. Each word. And if what you are told is wrong? Evelyn asked. The question came without judgment. But it carried weight. The young man hesitated. His eyes dropped to the floor. Then lifted again. Then, we should say something, he admitted. The answer felt new to him. Unpracticed. That honesty hung in the air. The waitress nodded faintly. Almost to herself. Alicia did not look up. She kept her focus on Noah. But she heard it. Everyone did. Derek exhaled. Slowly. His shoulders dropped further. The structure he had been holding onto was no longer there. This is being taken out of context, he said. The words felt forced. Like they did not belong anymore. Evelyn turned her head toward him. Not fully. Just enough. Context does not change what happened, she replied. Simple. Direct. Derek did not argue this time. He could not. The room would not support it. The man by the window leaned back again. His eyes moved between the staff. Something in his expression shifted. Respect. Not for the system. For the moment. The moment where people started to see clearly. Evelyn took a slow breath. Then stepped slightly to the side. Not away. Just enough to open the space. I am not asking for perfection, she said. Her voice softened just a fraction. I am asking for awareness. The distinction settled deeply. The waitress looked at Alicia again. Then at Noah. Then back at Evelyn. That sequence mattered. It showed something changing inside her. The young man near the kitchen door straightened his posture. Not fully confident. But no longer shrinking. Alicia lifted the bottle slightly. Noah's hand rested against it. Small fingers curling. That small detail grounded everything again. Reality inside the tension. Evelyn watched that moment closely. Then spoke again. This is what you missed, she said. Not accusing. Revealing. Derek looked at Alicia. Really looked this time. Not at her clothes. Not at the situation. At her. And then at Noah. The realization did not hit all at once. It came in pieces. Slow. Uncomfortable. But real. His eyes shifted. His jaw tightened. Then relaxed. Something in him was breaking. Not loudly. Quietly. The kind of break that changes direction. The waitress stepped closer to Alicia again. This time she placed a small stack of napkins on the table. Within reach. No words. Just presence. Alicia glanced up briefly. Their eyes met again. This time longer. There was no tension there. Just understanding. That moment did not need explanation. The man beside Evelyn nodded once more. Subtle. But firm. The pattern had been identified. The response was forming. Derek saw it. Felt it. There was no space left to step back into. Evelyn's gaze returned to him. Fully now. You set the tone here, she said. Her voice steady. Certain. Everyone else followed it. Derek did not respond. He could not deny it. The room had already answered for him. The young man near the door took another small step forward. Not toward Evelyn. Toward Alicia. That movement spoke louder than anything he could say. The waitress stayed where she was. But her stance remained open. Present. The room had changed. Not completely. But enough. Evelyn let the silence settle one last time. Then she spoke again. Now we decide what happens next. The words did not carry threat. They carried inevitability. Derek's hand loosened again. The card slipped from his fingers. This time, no one rushed to pick it up. The card hit the floor with a soft, flat sound. No one moved to pick it up. Not Derek. Not the staff. It stayed there, face down, like it no longer mattered who it belonged to. Derek stared at it for a second too long. Then looked up. His eyes did not find control this time. They searched. I can fix this, he said. The words came out lower now. Not commanding. Not certain. Just, reaching. Evelyn did not respond immediately. She looked at him, then past him, then back again. Measuring something deeper than his words. Alicia adjusted Noah again. The bottle was nearly empty. Just a few slow swallows left. His fingers curled and relaxed against her hand. That small motion grounded the moment again. The waitress noticed. She reached for another bottle without hesitation. Already preparing. That readiness had become instinct. Evelyn saw that too. Fixing it would have started earlier, she said. Her voice was calm. Not sharp. But final. Derek swallowed. His shoulders dropped another inch. I did not see it that way, he admitted. The sentence felt real. But late. Too late. The man beside Evelyn stepped forward slightly. Not to take over. Just to stand closer. To witness. To confirm. The room stayed quiet. No interruptions. No excuses. The staff by the kitchen door remained still, but they were not hiding anymore. They were present. That mattered now. Alicia shifted in the chair. Her arms were tired. The weight of holding Noah was beginning to show in the way she moved. The waitress noticed immediately. She stepped closer and gently adjusted the chair beside her, giving her more space. No words. Just action. Alicia nodded once. Quiet thanks. The connection held. Derek saw it. That quiet exchange. It unsettled him more than anything else. It showed what should have happened. What he had stopped. Evelyn's gaze returned to him. "You did not see her," she said. Not accusing. Stating. Derek opened his mouth. Closed it. Then nodded once. Slow. Reluctant. Honest. "No," he said. The word settled deeper than anything before. The room felt it. The acknowledgement changed the air. It was no longer defensive. It was exposed. The man by the window leaned forward again. Not out of curiosity. Out of attention. The young man near the door took another small step forward. Not toward Derek. Toward Alicia. That direction mattered. Evelyn let the silence sit for a moment. Then she spoke again. "And when people are not seen," she said, "they are treated like they do not matter." Each word landed separately. Clear. Unavoidable. Derek looked at Alicia again. This time longer. His expression shifted. Not fully understanding. But closer. His jaw tightened. Then softened. The realization was slow. But it was happening. Alicia did not meet his eyes. She kept her focus on Noah. On the simple act of feeding him. That choice said everything. She was not here for this moment. She was here for her child. The difference mattered. The waitress placed the new bottle gently on the table within reach. Alicia picked it up without looking. Muscle memory. Care. Presence. The room watched. Not as observers now. As witnesses. Evelyn stepped forward. Just one step. Closing the space completely. "This is not just about you," she said to Derek. Her voice steady. Firm. "It is about what you allowed to become normal." Derek exhaled slowly. His shoulders dropped fully this time. The resistance was gone. What remained was something else. Something quieter. "I understand," he said. The words were simple. But they carried weight. Evelyn studied him. Not for the words. For what followed them. The man beside her. Nodded once. Subtle. But enough. The decision had been made. It was no longer forming. It was there. Solid. Present. The staff felt it. The shift moved through them like a quiet wave. The waitress stood a little taller. The young man near the door did not step back. Even the silence felt different. No longer heavy. Clear. Evelyn turned slightly. Not away. Just enough to include the room again. "We are going to correct this," she said. The words carried authority. But also direction. Derek nodded quickly. Yes. Of course. But the agreement did not restore him. It only confirmed the distance between where he was and where he had been. Alicia adjusted Noah one last time. The bottle now full again. His small hands relaxed completely. Calm. Safe. That was all she had wanted. Nothing more. Evelyn looked at her again. Just for a second. Then back at Derek. "Start by stepping away," she said. The instruction was quiet. But it left no room for interpretation. Derek did not argue. He took a step back. Then another. Each one slower than the last. The space he had occupied was no longer his. The room watched him move. Not with anger. With clarity. The card remained on the floor between them. Unclaimed. Unnecessary. And that was when Evelyn shifted her focus to the rest of the staff and gave the order that would change all of them. Evelyn's gaze moved across the staff like a quiet current, steady and impossible to ignore. No one looked away this time. Not the waitress. Not the young man near the kitchen door. Not even the others who had stayed back until now. They were all part of it. That was clear. Everyone who stood here and chose silence, she said, her voice calm but carrying through the room, stepped forward. The instruction was simple. Direct. No room to misunderstand. For a second, no one moved. Then the young man near the door stepped forward first. One step. Careful. But real. The waitress followed. Not hesitating. Not looking back. One by one, the others shifted. Slow at first. Then all at once. A small line formed. Not perfect. Not organized. But honest. Derek watched from where he stood. A step removed now. No longer at the center. His hands hung at his sides. Empty. The card still lay on the floor between them. Untouched. Alicia adjusted Noah again. The bottle tilted slightly as he drank. Calm. Steady. The simple rhythm of it grounded her again. She did not look at the line forming. She did not need to. She could feel it. The room had changed. Evelyn nodded once. Not approving. Not condemning. Acknowledging. Look at her, she said. The words were not loud. But they carried. The staff turned. Slowly. Not forced. Not rushed. They looked at Alicia. Really looked. Not past her. Not through her. At her. At Noah. At the small details they had missed before. The tiredness in her shoulders. The way her hand moved along his back without thinking. The quiet focus in her eyes. The reason she had been there in the first place. That realization settled deep. The waitress's expression softened. The young man's shoulders dropped slightly. Even the others, standing uncertainly, felt it. Alicia noticed the shift. She glanced up briefly. Just a second. Then back to Noah. She did not need their attention. She had never asked for it. That made it heavier. Evelyn let the silence hold for a moment. Then spoke again. This is the standard, she said. Her voice steady. Clear. Not the rules. Not the procedures. This. She did not gesture. She did not need to. The meaning was already there. The staff absorbed it. Not all at once. But enough. The man beside Evelyn watched them closely. Measuring. Not for perfection. For change. Derek exhaled slowly from where he stood. His eyes moved from the line to Alicia. Then to Evelyn. He understood now. Too late to undo. But not too late to see. I should have handled it differently, he said. The words were quiet. No defense. No excuse. Just acknowledgement. Evelyn turned her head slightly toward him. You should have seen it, she replied. The correction was small. But it mattered. Derek nodded once. His shoulders lowered further. The last of the resistance gone. The waitress stepped closer to Alicia again. Not to intervene. Just to stand near. Present. She placed another napkin on the table. Straightened it slightly. Small movements. But intentional. Alicia noticed. She gave a faint nod. The connection held. The young man near the door shifted his weight. Then spoke. I should have said something, he admitted. His voice was low. But steady. Evelyn looked at him. Just for a second. Then nodded once. Recognition. That was enough. The others in the line remained quiet. But their posture had changed. No longer defensive. No longer distant. Present. The room felt different now. Not tense. Not heavy. Clear. Like something had been stripped away. Evelyn took a slow breath. Then spoke again. "This is where it changes," she said. The words carried finality. But also direction. The man beside her stepped forward slightly. Ready. The next step forming. Alicia shifted Noah again. The bottle now steady in her hand. His breathing calm. Safe. That was all that mattered to her. Everything else was noise. Evelyn looked at her one more time. Then turned back to the staff. "Some of you will stay," she said. "Some of you will not." The words settled instantly. The line stiffened. Not from fear. From understanding. This was real. The consequences were real. Derek looked up sharply. For the first time since stepping back. The weight of it landed fully. The card on the floor remained between them. A quiet reminder of what had changed. And then Evelyn spoke the names that would decide everything. The names did not come fast. Evelyn did not rush them. She spoke each one clearly, spaced apart, like every word carried weight that could not be taken back. Derek Collins. The first name landed hard. Derek did not react outwardly, but something in his posture gave way. His shoulders lowered. His gaze dropped. He already knew. "You are no longer managing this location." The sentence was calm. Not loud. But final. No one questioned it. No one moved to interrupt. The room absorbed it in silence. Derek nodded once. Slow. Accepting. Not arguing. That, somehow, made it heavier. Evelyn continued. "You will meet with corporate tomorrow morning. Your access ends tonight." Each detail followed the last without pause. Clean. Structured. There was no anger in her tone. Just decision. The man beside her stepped slightly forward, already preparing to carry it out. Derek did not look at him. He looked at Alicia. Just for a second. Then away. That moment passed quietly. Evelyn shifted her gaze to the line of staff. Emily. The waitress looked up immediately. She did not step back. "You stepped forward," Evelyn said. Simple. Acknowledging. Emily nodded once. Her hands rested at her sides, steady now. "You stay," Evelyn said. The words landed differently. Not relief. Not reward. Responsibility. Emily understood. It showed. Her posture straightened just a fraction more. Evelyn continued down the line. One by one. Some names met with a nod. Others with a pause. A longer pause. The kind that said more than words. "You will report to training," she said to one. Effective immediately. Not a dismissal. Not yet. A chance. For another, she shook her head slightly. "This is not the right place for you." The sentence was quiet. But it closed a door. The staff absorbed it. Not as a group. Individually. Each outcome landed differently. The young man near the door stood still as his name was called. "You hesitated," Evelyn said. Not accusing. Not softening. Just stating. He swallowed. "Yes, ma'am," he said. His voice did not break. That mattered. Evelyn studied him for a moment. Then nodded once. "You learn," she said. "Or you leave." The condition hung there. Clear. He nodded quickly. Not out of fear. Out of understanding. The line shifted again. Not physically. Internally. Alicia continued feeding Noah. The second bottle now steady in her hand. His small movements were slower now. Sleepier. Safe. That was all she had wanted from the start. Nothing about this moment changed that. Evelyn noticed. She always noticed. The way Alicia never asked for attention. Never demanded anything. She simply stayed present for her child. That detail stayed with her. The decisions finished. The line no longer needed to stand. Some stepped back. Others remained still. Processing. Derek had not moved. He stood where he had stepped away earlier. Removed. Quiet. The card still lay on the floor between him and the rest of the room. No one had touched it. It no longer represented authority. It represented a moment. A mistake. Evelyn turned back toward Alicia. Slowly. Not rushed. The room followed her gaze. The focus returned to where it had always belonged. Alicia looked up this time. Fully. For the first time. Their eyes met. There was no fear there. No anger either. Just something steady. Real. Evelyn stepped closer. Just enough to stand beside her. Not above. Not in front. Beside. That position mattered. You came here to take care of your son, Evelyn said softly. Alicia nodded once. No explanation. No defense. She did not need one. Evelyn glanced at Noah. His eyes half closed now. His small hand resting against the bottle. Calm. Peaceful. The contrast to the beginning of the night was clear. The room felt it. You should have been helped immediately, Evelyn said. The statement carried weight. Not as an apology. As a correction. Alicia did not respond right away. She adjusted Noah slightly. Ensuring he was comfortable. Then she spoke. He is okay, she said. The words were simple. But they held everything. Evelyn nodded once. She understood what was not said. The room stayed quiet. No one interrupted. No one needed to. The moment had shifted fully. What started as control had become clarity. What started as silence had become awareness. The staff stood differently now. Not perfect. But changed. Derek finally stepped back another inch. Then another. The distance between him and the center grew. Not forced. Natural. The card remained where it had fallen. Unclaimed. Forgotten. And as the room settled into something new, Evelyn reached for the chair beside Alicia and said something no one expected. Evelyn did not sit immediately. Her hand rested lightly on the back of the chair beside Alicia, fingers still, deliberate. The room watched without realizing it. Even the small sounds had faded. No plates. No footsteps. Just the quiet rhythm of a baby finishing a bottle. Alicia adjusted Noah gently, lifting the bottle away as his small mouth slowed, then stopped. His eyes were closed now. Fully. His breathing soft. Even. The kind of calm that only comes when nothing else matters. Evelyn noticed that first. Not the staff. Not the silence. The child. She pulled the chair back slowly and sat down beside Alicia. Not across. Not standing above. Beside. That choice settled deeper than any word spoken before. The distance between them disappeared. Alicia did not move away. She did not tense. She simply stayed where she was, one arm supporting Noah, the other resting lightly against his back. Evelyn leaned forward slightly, her elbows resting just above her knees. Not formal. Not distant. Present. You did not raise your voice, she said softly. Alicia glanced at her, then back at Noah. There was no point, she replied. Her voice was calm. Not defeated. Just honest. Evelyn nodded once. That answer mattered. It said more than anger ever could. Around them, the staff remained still. No one returned to their stations. No one spoke. They were not waiting for orders anymore. They were listening. The man beside Evelyn stepped back quietly, giving space without being asked. He understood what this moment had become. Derek stood near the edge of the room now. Farther than before. His presence smaller. Less defined. He did not interrupt. He did not move closer. He simply watched. That, too, mattered. Evelyn looked at Alicia again. Really looked. Not at her clothes. Not at what had happened earlier. At her. At the quiet strength in the way she held her son. At the steadiness in her breathing. You made it easy for them to overlook you, Evelyn said. The words were not criticism. They were observation. Alicia did not react immediately. She shifted Noah slightly, making sure his head rested comfortably against her shoulder. Then she answered. I was not trying to be seen. The room felt that. Deep. Real. Evelyn exhaled slowly. That is the problem, she said. Not sharply. Not accusing. Just clear. The waitress lowered her gaze again. But this time, it was not from uncertainty. It was from understanding. The young man near the door stood straighter. Not because he had to. Because something inside him had changed. Evelyn leaned back slightly in her chair. Her eyes moved across the room one last time. Not searching. Not measuring. Confirming. The space felt different now. Not tense. Not heavy. Open. Like something had been cleared away. She turned back to Alicia. This place should have met you where you were, she said. Each word carried intention. Alicia did not nod. She did not need to. The truth of it sat between them. Quiet. Undeniable. Noah shifted slightly in his sleep. A small breath. Then still again. Alicia's hand moved instinctively, slow and gentle. The same motion she had used since the beginning. That motion had never changed. Not once. Evelyn noticed. That consistency mattered more than anything else tonight. She reached into her coat pocket again. This time, the movement was slower. Softer. She pulled out a small folded card. Not the same one as before. Different. Plain. She placed it gently on the table beside Alicia. Within reach. No pressure. No expectation. If you ever need a place that sees you, Evelyn said quietly, come back. Alicia looked at the card. Then at Evelyn. Her expression did not shift much. But something in her eyes softened. Just slightly. She nodded once. That was enough. The waitress exhaled slowly. The young man stepped back into place, but not the same place he had stood before. The room began to breathe again. Not loudly. Just enough. Derek glanced once more at the card on the floor. Then away. He did not pick it up. He did not need to. It no longer belonged to him. Evelyn stood up slowly. The chair made a soft sound as it moved back. No one flinched this time. The moment had settled. The lesson had landed. Not perfectly. But deeply enough. Alicia remained seated for another second. Then stood carefully, adjusting Noah against her shoulder. She picked up the small card from the table and held it without looking at it again. Not yet. She turned toward the door. No one stopped her. No one needed to. The path was clear now. As she reached the threshold, the light from outside touched her face for just a moment, and something about it felt different than when she had first walked in.